Hi everyone, so this week we were asked if juveniles are punished too harshly or not enough. And my answer is I think that it's fine the way that it is. So I imagine too harshly would be like kids are going to be scarred for the rest of their life, or that like maybe it's death or something like that. Not enough would probably just be like, oh, you get a slap on the wrist, but here you go. You get off the hook with stealing or whatever. But the most common sentencings or penalties that I've heard for juvenile cases would be informal probation, court-ordered treatment, enrollment in juvenile school, or commitment to a state juvenile detention center. And I think those are pretty good for, I mean, they're kids. They're under 18, so they shouldn't be going to prison for 20 years or whatever. Of course, there's always this talk of, oh, kids know right or wrong, but you don't know that. What if their parents neglected them and then they're just sitting at home like, oh, well, maybe I'll go steal this car if they're like 16 or something. They don't know. I mean, they might from their friends, but like if they're bored out of their mind at home and they don't exactly know, they'll probably be like, oh, let me just try to do this real quick. And they get caught, and then they get sent to court, and the punishment could be going to a juvenile school. And maybe through that, they'll learn the right and wrong of committing a crime. They'll be like, oh, so what I did was wrong. I shouldn't commit that crime anymore. Another thing is, even if they were taught the difference between right and wrong, maybe they weren't getting consequences for their own actions growing up. When I grew up and I did something bad, which was maybe yell at my mom or something like that, it was like, oh, go stand in the corner and think about what you've done. And it was like, oh, okay. And then I would stand there and I'd be like, well, I don't want to do this again, so I won't yell at my mom anymore. So even though I knew that it was wrong to begin with, actually going through the consequence is what made me think like, maybe I really shouldn't do this again. So I feel like as long as they get some sort of punishment under one of those punishments that I listed at the beginning, they shouldn't be, they're not too harsh, and it's not enough. Like, it's plenty to get a kid to be like, oh, that was wrong, I shouldn't do it again. But it's also not enough to be like, oh, like this, the whole criminal justice system is rigged, blah blah blah. Like, you don't want kids to grow up that way either. So that is my stand on if juveniles are punished too harshly or not enough.